the Fusion Artist Studio. My name is Ed Breen, and on behalf of the Fusion Arts Alliance, each week we sit down with an artist in Marion or Grant County, or a person associated with the arts, talk about what they're doing, what they would like to be doing, and what they see as the needs and hopes and future for arts in Marion and Grant County. Today we are at the Kingdom in downtown Marion, and we are sitting here with the proprietor of the Kingdom, Bobby Pittman. Bobby, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Give us the short version. How did we get to the point where you are running the Kingdom? Well, you have your own sandbox.
That's right. Well, it's been a couple years physically in the making, but it's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of support, a lot of passion, but we are finally here. So about 2.5 years ago, I got a hold of the building and then started working the space out, kind of real organically from the ground up, from a DIY, trying to have a little of an original aesthetic as well. And got the doors open the day after Christmas of 2019. Ran into this pandemic here in March, but was able to get my doors back open in May, and here we are, still moving forward, I should say.
Tell me what the Kingdom is. What's your concept of this space? And we are at Spencer and Boots.
Correct. Well, the Kingdom is it's a multicultural facility, really, that's here to serve the community in multiple ways, from performing arts, a social hub for artists and patrons to meet up, and we also have a cafe with several hot and cold beverages, hot sandwiches, salads, and soups. So there's multiple purposes here.
Tell me about Bobby Pittman. Born and reared in Marion.
Yeah. Well, born in Virginia on a military base, but raised here, graduated from Marion, and I moved away, went to school down in South Carolina, but
you were an athlete here.
Absolutely, yeah. That's kind of the
track?
rite of passage. No, basketball, football, baseball.
Okay.
Kind of did a few different things, but football was my main. After my senior year, I got cut from the basketball team, so kind of had to rearrange the athletic.
They didn't appreciate your talents?
Yeah, it wasn't needed that season.
What year did you graduate?
Graduated in 2002.
Okay. And you went to school where? In
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yep. Greenville, South Carolina. North Greenville University.
Majoring in?
Started out biology, but had to finish with marketing because of it was a kind of a smaller school, so the curriculum was very limited. And if you were kind of going into your specifics with lab-related courses, they were all like scheduled in the evening time, and that was where all my practices and weightlifting schedule, all of my football-related activities were in the evening. So I was there for athletics on scholarship, so I had to switch it up, and business was absolutely less restrictive.
What brought you back to Marion?
A few things. One was, family and support. I was living in a few different markets, New York. I was down in Florida for a few years, Texas. I was out in Chicago. But really, I was just kind of tired of the rat race of just kind of like knocking on so many doors in other markets. And I just wanted to be home. I love Marion. And I was in Vegas, I believe it was 2012, and still kind of running into dead ends and dead walls, and not really being able to do the things that I was trying to do.
What were you trying to do in those years? What kinds of things were you doing for a living?
Well, multiple things, but music related. That's what had me in several different cities. Really kind of going off of the elusive record deal, which you kind of may have always heard with musicians, and that's what once really going after it for a handful of years, and learning and meeting great people, you just kind of get worn and you get tired, because for me anyways, I started actually doing so many different things 99% of the time versus playing music, in that pursuit of trying to quote appease someone, trying to get a company to say, we love your talents, to come in with us. And so finally, after speaking with a few people and rearranging things with my family, it was just like, let's just go home. Let's just go home. And that's
your instrument of choice as a musician?
Pretty anything with a string on it, but these days is an Epiphone shared into semi-hollow body guitar.
Okay. Did you do that when you were in school? Were you in music
I was, yeah.
in high school and college too?
I started here, Mary Kirby, when I was 9 years old, started in violin and orchestra, and did that for three years. And then I switched to Mrs. Rigsby, who was at Jones at the time. She ran the choir. Switched in, did choir for a little while. Then went to the high school and was under Richie Walton's.
No. Were you in 26th Street Singers?
No, I was not. I almost tried out for one of the show choirs, but once again, I was preoccupied at the time, really with my sports and athletics. That's what I did with most of my time with sports. But I always I picked up the guitar then when I was 15, 16, and started self-taught, and then electric bass, and then piano followed. But and then when I went to school, I took several music-related courses, but nothing was. I was doing it on the side.
So the Kingdom is here. You've been in business less than 6 months because you took time out for COVID.
Yep.
You have a stage, you have a dining area. All the pieces are in place. You want to create a welcoming environment for performing artists.
Absolutely.
Talk about who you're seeking out and who is drawn here, who's coming in and performing.
Yeah, so we right now, given the timing, we had a lot of different national acts that was already scheduled to start coming in, and with COVID, and then some of the artists are on like national booking agencies, and any artist that was related to a national agency, they've kind of like sidelined their whole roster. And so and that's really and the state of Indiana versus a lot of other markets are still inside of the executive order from our governor. We, as a venue, we were just cut to 22 or 25% capacity. And so there, for smaller venues like myself, we can still technically get by with a smaller audience and smaller numbers, whereas a larger venue that is trying to fill up 1,000 seats, they really need those 1,000 seats filled up to pay their staff and whatnot. And so some of the bands we've lost from a national level, but regionally, given that it's in Indiana and I'm one of the few stages still actively going in the region, man, we're getting some really good regional and local talent, from Kokomo, Muncie. Some southern Indianapolis artists are coming up. So,
how do you get yourself wired into the kind of music that you want to bring here?
I think that it is hard because I think, there have been venues that have tried to do things in Marion. And I try to be as open to a lot of different genres as I can be. But it is up to the patron at the end of the day, and I'm an artist, and as much as I would want to force my music on a patron, they're going to say yes or no, And so the patron here just really loves a live performance, whether it be originals or cover. And I think the artists are starting to see that, that tend to play more original music. They're starting to throw in more covers. And then there's some nights that, it's a total crowd that are wanting to see some original music. So our patron base, we have a good amount of bands and artists that are wanting to play. But that's where about 6 o'clock every night people start wandering in, and the phone starts ringing and want to know who's playing tonight, what's going on. So it's a real...
That's a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good relationship between both, because it doesn't get too big or too standoffish that you can't approach us.
So you're not a blues bar. You're not line dancing country.
No.
What is it?
Yeah,
what are you trying to be?
I think we're just, you can't win every single market, and you can't please everyone. Right. There are a couple genres that I'm not a fan of, and the crowds are not conducive to business, And so with that being said, we have to protect everyone, but it's really geared around live instrumentation and live performance. So that lends its hand in folk, blues, jazz. We're heavy on jazz. The jam scene is starting to come in. A lot of Grateful Dead, Fish, Widespread Panic, String Cheese Incident fans and bands are coming in. And then your traditional kind of rock and rockabilly, Americana. So we have a real good spread, but it's really an environment for live performance. of
So
instrumentation.
are there any, for the want of a better description, 1955 piano bar jazz groups around?
Not jazz groups, but our community jazz night that's hosted by Brandon Hancock. He's been, since we opened, he's been going strong.
Okay.
And it's the first Thursday of every month. They're coming up with charts in the songbook, and they're playing amazing jazz numbers. So if that would be the night that...
Is this introducing you to something that you weren't familiar with?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I love, I've got Miles Davis on vinyl that is kind of like my Tylenol, my ibuprofen, if you will, you know. But, you know, in terms of the live artists and the, you know, the actual players, yeah, Brandon's kind of really opening my world of jazz up. Yeah. It's awesome.
How about the visual arts? Are you encouraging painters, sculptors, the visual arts people to come in?
Yeah, we do. That's another thing we have. I forgot to mention. We have a gallery kind of on the north side of the kingdom over here, and it's, you know, a 12-foot by 60-foot wall that, you know, right now we are featuring Tashima Davis, who has Echo Gallery.
Mm-hmm.
We have had her in hanging and on display for several months now. And that's really cool because, you know, all of her art is also for sale. All the art that's here is for sale. And so we've sold numerous pieces for Tashima. And there's another local artist that I went to school with. His name's Ryan Johnson, and he sold a few pieces of artwork in here. There was another gentleman that came in on Saturday, and we're going to be working at setting him up an actual show that he can hang a lot of his work. So that's another really cool aspect that the Kingdom has, is that, you know, if you are an artist or wanting to see what it would be like to get a response, you know, from, you know, not necessarily your fans, but just the community and feedback, and you have some visual artwork to install or hang, you know, our doors are open, and we don't charge any service fees or installation fees. We just ask that, you know, you hang the artwork yourself, and you know, come back and check on it. You know, don't just leave it here. And
I got to tell you, I've been in conversations with some folks who are of my generation who have stopped in here occasionally. And then I talk with folks who are a couple of generations younger than I am, and they're stopping in.
yeah,
Depending upon who the musicians are, what time of the day it is. You got a whole different crowd at lunch than you have later in the evening.
correct.
Give me a profile of who the audience is.
Yeah, so we originally, you know, when I was working through the business plan, you know, that was one thing that, you know, obviously keeps coming up over who's your market. But that's where I really leaned on live music, and from my experience, you know, that's also with us being all ages, that gives that opportunity to range from an 18-year-old music goer to someone that's, say, 55, 60, 63, even 70. Some of my in-laws and, you know, some of my family members that, you know, don't fit any sort of market come in because, you know, there might be an artist that's playing songs that they don't typically get a chance unless they are in a large 20,000 person arena, you know. So it is a widespread, but it really goes back to the style. You know, it's not necessarily a certain demographic, it's a certain kind of taste. So it's the customer and the patron that likes that live experience. And then that's the cool thing, is you'll see, you know, an 18-year-old sitting here having fun with their friends, and look over your shoulder and there's a group of you know, old boomers, you know, just having a good time too. So it's, you know,
Getting ready to doze off.
yeah, making sure it's not close to bedtime, you know. So yeah, it's a widespread, and that's really cool because that was one thing you know, I tried to implement a lot of my personal taste, because you know, I'm trying to be empathetic and understanding with a lot of folks. And myself, I don't like hyper crowded situations. I don't find myself getting towards the enjoyment.
So do you get up on stage and play occasionally?
I do. I try to let everyone else get a chance, but any chance I get, I'll slide up, and that's where we have lots of hand drums and xylophones and tambourines, because you know, it's when live music gets going, it's hard to sit still and not participate in it.
Talk about how this fits into Marion what Marion and you need to take it to the next level?
Yeah, that's a good question. Before I really believed that this place and this idea and quote quote live music was so important to Marion. And then after I've opened, it's been 100% true. And it is vital to a place that has decades of hope and opportunity, but then new decades come and it's the same quote quote outlook. And this is an opportunity for us to try to wedge in things that absolutely benefit communities even while they're here, that you don't have to wait for a 10-year projection to see results. And so, Marion needs things like this that can come in and immediately provide some, not some assistance from so much an economical, but from that social cultural, because that's going to kind of trickle back in to having effects from an economical standpoint and even a crime standpoint. I know that there's traditionally, when you mix large crowds and alcohol, that is a recipe for a disaster. But every evening that we've had live music and quote, quote, adult beverages, everyone's went home safely, got home safely, and, had nothing but good things to say. So, I am appreciative and I'm blessed and I'm very proud that our time thus far has been really impacting Marion in a positive way.
You sponsored a street gathering, 3-4 weeks ago?
Absolutely, yes we did.
How'd that work out?
It went great. It was Rock the River. It was 3 days of music and peace, and it went down like we said. We had lots of help, had professional staging, lighting, audio, and then the community got to come out and that quality, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring really quality events to Marion so that we all can start to move forward in being able to experience things together positively. So then when things do come up that are negative, we're not so disconnected. We do have good things to relate upon. And, it's the first one. Unfortunately, a lot of other events got canceled. But I remember early January seeing all the events that were coming in the county and how heavy they were on live music, whether it be from Brant's and Hog Days or to the Spotted Cow Festival that Indiana Wesley's been putting on. I mean, there was an enormous amount of live music scheduled. So I do see that tide coming this way, and I know it's going to bring a lot of positivity.
Yeah, 2020 has not been good to any of us. Are we coming out of COVID now? Do you get the sense that people, we're never going back to March 15th. We know that.
Right.
Okay. But are we adjusting as a community and as a society?
I would like to say so. I don't have too much, scientific or, even political to add, but what I'm seeing, from a micro standpoint here in this community is that even though we are a part of the larger scale, the national events and effect, I feel like we have been our own microcosm as well, with lower numbers and lower fatality rates, and newer businesses actually were getting started. A good friend of mine, he started a mobile detailing business, Immaculate Auto Detailing. There's a few other entrepreneurs here, and I feel that even though there could have been a complete halt, a complete devastation, I didn't see that. And then through reopening, I have not seen any sign that it's going to go back. I feel that we're here going to live with a lot of the restrictions, but I was telling someone the other day that this is awesome because I used to not be able to tell the whole hand washing. I know that sounds bad, but now I can tell you that I wash my hands 20 times a day, and that's a good thing. So some of these things have affected our lives in a good way, and economically, we'll only be able to see, because I do know that there has been a lot of people that have lost jobs, a lot of the food chains and the beer chains. A lot of my beer providers didn't even reopen.
Yeah.
So there is some reality there, But in terms of Marion, I think that, and I've been a part of a few discussions where I've heard you interview some pretty large businessmen that have been around several industries, and there isn't a quick fix with our economical situation, But I'm seeing the corner turn from a music industry where a lot of the artists that are on, they're just waiting. It's almost like a cauldron bubbling. And so I think hopefully once we get through, November and 2021, I think things will pick back up and people will be surprised how quick and how ready, specifically I think the entertainment world is to get back doing what we all love to do, and that's, entertaining and trying to connect people together.
Tell us where we are, what hours you're open, parking facilities, all that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Well, we are located at the corner of Spencer and Boots downtown.
Now, that's confusing because people don't realize this is Spencer Avenue.
That is true.
They think it's Wabash Avenue.
Right, and I live on Wabash, so Spencer, you're going to get Spencer.
You're within spitting distance of the end of the Washington Street Bridge.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So if you're familiar with Country Cafe, Riverside Credit Union, and even the YMCA, if you're at the YMCA and look south, you'll be able to see our building. It's 111 North Boots, so it's also the last stop before you hit the river on Boot Street. Our hours right now are Wednesday, 5 p.m. to midnight, Wednesday through Saturday, 5 p.m. to midnight. But we are trying to get back open fully for lunch and reopen on Tuesday. But right now, we're just 5 p.m. to midnight, Wednesday through Saturday.
And jazz is the first Thursday of each month.
Yeah, jazz is the first Thursday, and it's honestly by far because it's a reoccurring night, it's just a really great night to even have in this community because of the quality. I mean, the Jazz Kitchen in Indy, I've been told by a couple of different people that the only thing similar has been down in Indianapolis when they get, international, national guys that come in and sit in. So that's a must see. But then also, if you stay tuned on our Facebook and MidwestKingdom.com is our website, you can stay up to date with other performing artists that are coming in and other events we got going on.
We are at the Kingdom. This gentleman is Bobby Pittman. We thank you for tuning in. Hope to catch you again later next time when we have the Fusion Arts Alliance Artist Studio.